So, let's introduce Sharia. So let's get things started formally. Sharia is the founder of Credit Clubhouse. She has a career path that has included over 10 years of working with the best brands in the tech industry as well as in government. She's a mother of three who has tirelessly worked to meet the needs of global customers and make a difference in the world. Her mission is to empower and educate families to overcome financial obstacles by obtaining and leveraging good credit to become wealth builders for themselves and their families. So welcome Sharia. Warm applause. Warm applause. Welcome Sharia. Thank you for joining us. That's an impressive resume there. Like I felt chills kind of reading that off there.
Thank you. I'm a helper at heart.
You're a helper at heart. Yes. I think our community is full of a lot of helpers. So thank you for joining us here today and continuing to be a helper. So my name's Lyndon, guys. If you guys don't know me, I actually run the Archibot here on the Excelerate server. And if this is your first or second time joining us here for the Campfire, this is kind of an event. We do it a little bit differently here. This is going to be a conversation between me and Sharia that's actually going to be informed by you voting on the polls, just like the one you just voted on there in the chat. So use the polls, engage in the chat, feel free to ask questions at any time. I can join those in and ask those to Sharia. So we can get started with the first question here that we have in the chat. So we're starting off at the beginning, Sharia, just kind of like getting a background of who you were and like what brought you to being a founder. And in that vein, the audience is curious to know like what your first job was.
First job, that's fun.
Yeah.
I started working at 15. I was still in
Okay,
high
15. That's
school.
early.
Yeah, right. I wanted my own money.
Okay.
And I kind of grew up in an underserved community with a mom, a single parent. So needed my own money. And I worked at a retirement center, which was really great.
Wow.
Yeah, really had a respect for people because if you have the patience to help an elderly person and listen to the wisdom that they give you, it'll definitely set you off on a good path. But I
Oh
was
yeah,
able
no, absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, so I was a server. I would serve them their meals and just speak with them. That was my first job that got me started to saying, "Hey, I'd like my own money."
Right, okay. And did you like need to get a work permit for that? Like, are you from Michigan? Was it in Michigan or another state or like how did that work?
I'm from Lansing, Michigan,
Okay, Lansing,
and
Michigan.
you're right, and that was a long time ago, so now you're gonna date me.
Whoops, sorry.
I like was a work permitted thing? It may have
Okay.
been. I knew I could only work a certain amount of hours, so I could only help on Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm from North Carolina myself, and they have work permits there too. So like I worked. I think I started working at like 14, and you need to like a work permit to work that early. So that's pretty interesting. The next poll is actually in the chat, guys. For those of you that just joined in, it's on the top left hand corner. Use the chat to interact and vote on the questions that I asked Sharia. Sharia, what would you say is like the biggest thing that you learned from like working with elderly patients?
That everyone has something to offer, and you can
Mm,
learn from anyone.
mm. No, that's interesting. Like I think that my mom actually also worked with elderly patients and disabled patients for a long time, and I think that like that thread of like common humanity is
Yeah.
like really interesting. Like, did that inform like you deciding to choose this profession in particular? Like you help people every day with your startup. Like, did that does that track to what you do now?
Yeah, I think so. I think it definitely developed the heart, and my
Hmm.
mom is really great. She's always helped with the community. Um, but just seeing they were the oldest that were kind of underserved, right? And then, like I said, the community I grew up in, you have the parents that couldn't afford to put their children in programs. Um, and it was like, hey, if I could just give something, a little knowledge to kind of push someone forward, I'm all for it, which is why working for the government or the tech industries, it was always, how can I help you make whatever your situation is better today? It really turned into, how could I do what I have? And I didn't just
Mm.
start off learning. I didn't know about credit like most of the communities in America.
Yeah, right,
Uh,
right.
yeah. I actually took real estate sales class in South Carolina. Um,
South Carolina. Okay, I'm from North
yeah,
Carolina, so
yeah, you mentioned
yeah,
that.
close
That
states. We have a rivalry.
really close. Yeah, upstate, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what allowed me to pivot while working for a tech industry. Um, as you mentioned, I have a daughter who was diagnosed with autism at 18 months.
Oh, sorry.
And and it's okay.
Yeah.
It definitely it's one of those, like I think Robert says, trust the process.
Yeah.
Um, it allowed me to see that I needed to get really creative with what our lifestyle would look like.
Mm,
Um, and I began to think of what do I have, so I marketing teacher said, "Hey, you should go into real estate." I knew it was something I could do part-time. And as I'm going through the process of learning the different details that someone would need to be prepared to purchase a home, I
mhm,
realized that the root issue was most people didn't understand credit or know
mm,
what they needed. You would show up like, "Hey, can I buy a"
yeah.
Yeah, so I dove in, to
Well,
that industry, and that's how I got to where I am today with helping as many people as I can, not just get homes, but, opening up a whole new opportunity to fund whatever the dream is.
I mean, that's pure boss energy, and I mean, like, I mean, honestly, that's amazing. Like, I think particularly like entrepreneurs, even in this community, have been mentioning like a struggle is like managing your life while also trying to do this big ambitious thing. Like, what was on your mind? Like, why did you think that setting out to like empower people with this financial literacy and financial freedom, like, what made you think that that idea would work? You know?
Because it was around me. Um,
Mm. Okay,
and
okay.
and as I learn, I've always been big on as I'm learning pieces of information, I give it out.
Mhm.
So as I was learning, I began to share with those around me, and I watched I had a close family member of bankruptcy and wanted to get a
Wow.
house. They were an educator,
Yeah,
master's degree. How do
yeah.
I get in a home? I have a bankruptcy. Why am I here? And I'm given all the pieces, and in a short amount of time, we're talking not even 2 years. We're changing it, and they're in a house.
Oh, wow, wow.
Changing the whole route for their family. So it was like, wow, okay, the changes can happen here. Um, I think we can push on a bigger scale. So
I
that's
mean,
it.
like, that like, how has that impacted you? Like, working with these people and, seeing them starting from 0 to going from, like, to owning property and chasing their dreams, like, how does that make you feel every day? I'm just curious.
Honestly, amazing. Some days, because we're entrepreneurs, we're creative, we run into problems. I run into problems in the business and maybe work
Mm,
balance. And then to get a message saying, "Look what I got," or
mm,
thank you. It's like it's amazing because it's not just I obtained something, like their lives are changed.
right.
And I played a part in that. So it wasn't just, like handling an issue with I just need to get through the day.
Mhm,
We really just change someone's life, and it's a trickle effect. So it's really been great to keep me going and keep me motivated.
mhm. Is there like a person that you think of most, like maybe the first person who's the first person that you impacted, like with your work? Just curious.
Ooh, first person, my sister.
Okay. How did that go?
That went really well. To share a story, it again, we didn't learn about finances. She had a windfall of money come in, didn't quite know what to do with it,
Uh-huh.
um, and took the funds and paid off some of the debt she incurred while waiting to get this money.
The lump sum, yeah.
Yeah, the lump sum, and nothing changed on her credit. It was devastating. She thought she was
Wow.
gonna get a house and a car. She still had to go cash out on a car. So taking these things I learned after, she's kinda out of the money, I was able to help her rebuild her credit. She went right to the dealership and got a vehicle. You know,
Priorities, priorities.
priorities, right? But it was just the fact that it could happen, and she was close to me, and so I was happy for her. We were able to share I was able to share that win wholeheartedly with her. Um, and it was just amazing. So it went from that to, okay, what else do you know? Who else can you help? Is
Yeah.
it just is it just women, or is it kids, Um,
The mission grew.
the mission definitely grew.
And like, you've been on this journey for a while, right? And you've been helping people and impacting their lives. Like, along in that journey, like, is there a mistake that comes to mind that you made in the past that resonated with you?
Yes. Um, I'd say I put all my eggs in one basket.
Mm, okay,
Um,
let's
and not
unpack
realizing, right,
that.
right, not realizing life, I have, like, everything's going great.
Yeah.
And I put my personal credit on the line, everything I kinda built,
Wow.
for the business,
Hmm.
and I had a major health issue, had to have
Oh,
emergency surgery, and
yeah.
I wasn't prepared.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't prepared, and I didn't have resources to help
Mm,
me kind of move my business along.
yeah.
So that was my biggest mistake, using my personal credit, and just not preparing for, right,
Right.
emergencies. How do
Right,
you
for
prepare
emergencies.
for
Right.
emergencies
Right.
as an entrepreneur? So, not a full loss because I've definitely
Hmm.
learned a lot since then, and how, as a business, you can be strong enough to move around and leverage credit
Right.
until you get the next deal done and not put your personal life or your family in harm's way.
And like, I mean, I think that that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs are dealing with. Like, we have a lot of solo entrepreneurs, and that's kind of like the climate that we're in right now. It's like you're taking these big risks, on your own. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs, like even in the room right now, that are looking
Yeah.
to make these big leaps? Like, how would they set themselves up financially, to be able to shoulder those type of emergencies?
Oh, this is a great question. So if I could do it again, right? Anybody,
If you could do it
um,
again.
right, establish your personal business credit is just the data of how you're paying your bills, right?
Hmm.
If you structure your business properly, to be funded, there's a lot of resources here, right? Just checking it off, don't treat it as a hobby and build your business credit. Begin to work with vendors that is going to report to the business bureaus, so that you can have a business score and
Right.
rely on your business. Instead of just your personal credit, but always pay attention and work on it. But there's funding available in different areas, and tap into a lot of the free resources. Like EA is an awesome resource. My brother's a member of score.org, so that's
Hmm.
big in the US. They offer a lot of opportunities, and they'll help you establish, get your business set up properly so that you can get funding, and work with people, network, to see where the other funding is. I get new information all the time on
She's
resources.
constantly growing.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely pay attention to where your finances are going. Establish credit now, because as long as you can show that you're maintaining your bills and don't show that you're at risk, right? You want to just continue to take care of it on time. If you on time, right? That's the biggest deal, especially with business credit. That's all you really care about is on time. Um, you can put yourself in a better place just by kind of funneling money in an automated manner, and you can have other opportunities. Uh, Sorry,
And
I
is there
can't.
like any difference that arises from like running a business that may be like fully virtual, like you may be dealing with like Etsy sales, versus running a business that may be dealing with like physical products? Like, how do you handle credit and establishing history, like across those different like verticals, whether it's physical product or you have a brick and mortar? Like, are there
Mhm.
big differences between those two type of environments that you're operating in?
Um, okay. So are you asking me? I'm just gonna repeat the question. Sorry, I
Yeah.
attempted to read the chat.
No, no, you're fine.
So are you asking, if you're depending on what type of, if you're offering service or product, is
Yes.
there any other way to, how should you go about building business credit?
Yes, exactly. Mhm.
Okay. So there's different vendors, like there's vendors that, and other business owners can offer business credit, but there's vendors that even just report, like even checking your credit report, your business credit report with NAV or Dun and Bradstreet, they can, just because you're paying them, they can report those things. So even if you're service or product based, it's okay. It's a service that you're using. There's even some HR teams that will report the transactions that you have with them, and that's going to help build your business credit. If you're looking for products, there's several vendor products you can use. If you even the site, nav.com.
Nav.com.
Mhm. Jerry is a writer, and I think one of the recent articles, she just talked about the first 30 vendor accounts that you can get, normally when you don't have a decent business credit score, one hasn't populated yet, and these companies will do business with you, like, give you net 30 accounts where you can place your order, right? You're gonna pay by invoice within the 30 days, they're gonna report these on-time payments for you and help build this business credit score. Now there's different bureaus for that, and that's a whole nother conversation, or you can call me. But, um
Sounds like a full consultation. Someone needs to set
yeah,
up some
well
full consultation with you for that.
well, a lot of the times it's a plan because you have to know, like, what's your game plan. If even just on the consumer side, if you told me you wanted to buy a house, but you needed a car, we're gonna have to rearrange how I would tell you to work with your credit. So it really depends what's your ultimate goal. Are you looking for $100,000 credit line? You may have to do A, B, and C. Are you just trying to make sure you can get some things for the vendor shop that you're going to be in the next 60 days? Then you can do A, B, and C. Are you trying to get real estate? Then you need to do this on your personal side. So it's just but making sure you're paying on time is definitely going to put you in the best place. And like I said, nav.com has some really great resources. Jerry's a writer there. If you check out a lot of her articles, and just in general, just check out things in the finance industry. They're changing for us as entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
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 So I'll try to drop more links in our tab.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I dropped I put the nav.com in there as a resource. Just as you mentioned it, I just popped it in there. Also, if there's any questions that the audience has around finances, feel free to ask that. Just pop it in the chat at any time. So the next question for you, Sharia, that I have that the audience chose, um, is kind of like around the like what is a piece of common advice that you often share with entrepreneurs? It doesn't have to be financially, more in the sense of like, getting started as it relates to like actually running their business. The practice of being an entrepreneur, to be specific.
I was always told to have fun. And I pass that along because sometimes the work can be daunting when it's just
Mm.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
So find those parts that make it enjoyable and always have fun. And even if it's just not in your business, like even me going to work out today with my sister was fun for me. It
Yeah.
was still finding those joyful moments and kind of hanging on to your why. It'll change all the time, right? But um if you can have a positive outlook, positive attitude, be happy, things will work out. Part of
I
trusting the
definitely feel the positive energy protruding off of you. Like I just feel it filling up my room right now, and I'm not even like in the office. I'm just at home, and I'm like, wow, I feel the energy.
love it. I love and that's what we do as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, right? We're shedding light on people. We're using our creative to give others something, of value to us, and hopefully they find a value. So I'm hoping that happens.
Yeah. Leslie's actually curious. Like, was there a moment that you had doubt, like when you were pursuing your business?
Oh yeah.
What did you comfortable sharing?
Right.
Yeah.
So with me having a service-based business, and a lot of times the community that I deal with aren't familiar with handling their finances.
Mm.
So I may be a bill, and I'm one of the first ones to go. So in the beginning, I hit a spot in the summertime, right before school, where I was like, "Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah. Something gone. Something wrong. What's going
Is
on?
this not worth it? Do people not care about their credit?" And
Yeah.
I wanted to give up, and I had my own things going on because I'm a single mother as well.
Yeah.
Um, and it happened during my entrepreneur journey. So, something I didn't expect, and it was like, do I give up on everything?
Hmm.
Aren't paying, my life's changing. But you push through, right? You get
Yeah.
those calls from those clients saying, "Look what I did. Look what I got, and thank you." Um, and it definitely kept me going, but I did wanna quit a few
Yeah.
times, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
But
think that's real. Yeah. Like it's something all entrepreneurs like struggle with, right? It's like you're out there, you're doing something that not many people may, believe in. Like particularly, you mentioned you came from a background that didn't understand like financial literacy. Like was there an
Yes.
extra hurdle that you had to jump over, explaining to your friends or your family like what you were doing? Like they're like, "Why are you not doing a 9 to 5?" Like, did you have any of that at all?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Um, yes, my ex-husband always this is I got married at 18, okay?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, right? I got married at 18, and so I didn't know anything about finances.
Hmm.
And he was definitely a cash and carry, that was what I learned. So you buy,
Mm,
buy your car, you pay for things up front,
yeah.
and over this journey, because we have a child, right? Like, I think he stayed a cash and carry guy up until about a year ago. I
Wow.
got him to get his first
You finally
credit
got to like do it.
do it. Um, so yeah, it was really hard. It was like, I hear you, but
However.
right. However, and it's scary. It's like I'm not gonna buy what I can't afford, or I don't want to pay fees for my money, or
Mhm.
um they just want you to get in debt. It was so many different things about either A, I don't understand it, or I'm stuck in the what I know.
Yeah.
Um And so, yeah, that happened a lot, but it's been great because I've been consistent, so now I'm that family member that get the text that I might wanna leave.
Like they know who to go to. They're like, "Hey, I
Yeah.
need some advice." You're like, "Oh darn, here it goes again."
It's like when you work for the tech company, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
now
no, I'm definitely the family member that people consult me for the text. I'm like, "Oh, my Gmail isn't working." I'm like, "That's nothing to do with me."
It's fun. It's good.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's important to like, the work that you're doing is incredible, right? Like we often don't think about finances until like something occurs, right?
Exactly.
But it's something that you constantly have to like, keep a check on, constantly have in check always, or else it's gonna surprise you, right?
You're
um,
right. And
yeah,
and there's several things we can do. I mean, like, we have smartphones, right? You can put a calendar in your phone,
yeah,
automate to
yeah.
help you just take care of that because we're so busy now. Even with the
Mhm.
pandemic, there's a lot of changes that happened. A lot of people have had a hard time just keeping up? Um, and so we're always gonna have to spend money. Um, and right, I think I see Elisa where said that
Alyssa,
yeah,
yeah,
Alyssa, being reactionary with finances, and that's normal for most people, like, "Oh, this did hit," and it's just kinda have a checks and balances. Sometimes we have to take it as far as, I have 5 bank accounts for 5 bills.
yep, yep.
Whatever's gonna make it work to help you get to your goal, and it's just kinda keeping that goal in mind, because
Hmm.
we can reach them. We can definitely reach them with some support, with groups like this, with our community, and just even the community bank has lots of resources
Hmm.
that are available now that they're changing. Even there's things now you can teach children finances and stocks, and um, so that way, they don't have to be in a position at 20 or going into college not
Yeah,
really knowing. They can set themselves up now. And parents can do it for their children now, even adding them as authorized users on cards, kind of helping establish that.
establish credit
Yeah.
history. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, this is incredible. I have a lot. There's a lot of people in here. Patrick's texting, messaging, and Alyssa's texting. I was waiting for them to finish up. I think they might be asking a question or commenting on something.
Okay.
Um, I do have a question. Like, so
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, right? If you were to like make purchases, let's say you have like an LLC or
Mhm.
like some type of incorporation, how important is it to like differentiate purchases from your personal purchases from your business purchases? Like, how do
Oh.
you go about that process? I know there are a lot of solo entrepreneurs that are a part of this that may have those type of entanglements there.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. If you are, you should probably stop. You want to establish a business bank account. Um, and I would say pay yourself. There's a lot of third party companies that you can use. Like I mentioned, one I'm partnered with, I think it's Paychecks, but alone, they handle my payments from all of my clients are going to my bank account. They're handling payroll and any invoices I have. Maybe it's a few dollars a month, but it's helping make sure that, like you said, you're not commingling funds.
Yeah.
And that way, if you want to get that $100,000 from the lender, you might have to show up with some of all of your documents, and you don't want to show that, you're going to mismanage their money because you might want to go spend it on the next thing that you want.
I think that's something important for entrepreneurs to keep in perspective, especially as we are like seeing the rise of more solo entrepreneurs and freelancers, like to still have that financial entrenchment with your different interests from a financial perspective.
Yeah, I'd say get a good CPA. That's not my area of expertise.
You're like, get a CPA, go to a professional.
Definitely get a good CPA, one that you trust, one that you can talk to and tell them your goals. Because again, when we talk about finances, your your ideas might help them create your next best move on how you should move. Um,
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that I mean, all of this stuff is like super like beneficial. I think that I'm over here like taking notes. Like, I need to write some of this stuff down for myself. Like, managing finances is important. Everyone should do it, even if you're not an entrepreneur.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is. I
yeah,
mean, like I've seen people with low income have
hmm
good credit scores and can obtain more than
mm,
someone who had a very high income. So, it's a matter of being aware, managing, and it's just simple. This is our data. It's just data, our personal info data, and how we've paid our bills. You want to make sure these things are reflecting you as a good person. They're really just looking for behaviors with numbers.
yeah,
So if your belief brings on your behavior, right?
yeah.
So if
Manifest it. Gotta
there
manifest. Well, Shuri, I want to say first of all, thank you so much for joining us here today. I think Tanisha is also messaging something in the chat. Feel free, Tanisha, go ahead and message. I'm just going to do some housekeeping here. So Sharia will actually hang around later after this for a little bit. We have a channel that's right below this called the Cafe. It's kind of like a work and hangout channel. If you guys want to, feel free to hop in there after on video or audio and talk to one another or have a conversation in this chat as well. But one bit of housekeeping, we actually have our event for next week. It's already up in the Campfire RSVP channel. So if you want to check that out, it's next week, 1 p.m. We have an amazing speaker coming as well, Tess. She's another entrepreneur who's part of our community that will be joining us. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sharia, so much for being inspirational and taking the time to provide your experience and your advice to everyone. And feel free, guys, to talk in the cafe afterwards. Everyone have a great day, and thank you for being part of this community.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys.
Bye.